Hey guys, Steve Palise here. These days, owning a house on a quarter-acre block isn't necessarily everyone's vision of the Australian dream. For many people, an apartment may be a more desirable alternative. Ultimately, the decision to invest in a house rather than an apartment will depend on your financial circumstances, lifestyle, and goals. I've invested in both houses and apartments over the years, and each has its own pros and cons. I thought I would share this with you in today's video so that you know what they are and what you need to consider before investing in a house or an apartment. Let's start with the pros of investing in a house. Firstly, a freestanding home usually offers greater long-term capital growth compared to apartments because land often appreciates over time and houses tend to have more associated land than apartments. Of course, this isn't always the case because land will only appreciate if it's located in a favorable location. For example, a block of land located in the interior of Australia is unlikely to be more valuable than the floor space of a penthouse in Brisbane or Sydney Centre. That's why it's important to consider location and market conditions when investing. The next pro is that you have the opportunity to do major renovations or subdivide. Since you control 100% of the property, you can go ahead and make strategic improvements to increase its value. For example, you may be able to improve your house with renovations or subdivide the land once you have council approval without needing to ask permission from a body corporate or other residents. And lastly, they generally attract families who tend to be more reliable tenants in the long run. For example, if your property is located close to a school district, a family will more than likely stay for the duration of their children's school careers. Tenants who are pet owners may also choose to rent a house due to the added flexibility of having a backyard. Body corporate bylaws for apartments, in contrast, can restrict or limit pet ownership. Now, let's have a look at the potential drawbacks. First off, houses are typically more expensive than apartments in the same area because of the land value. Secondly, as a general rule of thumb, houses offer lower rental yields than apartments. So a house might not be the best option if you need rental income for cash flow. And then lastly, when you own a house, you're responsible for all the maintenance and upkeep fees, as well as paying insurance premiums if you've taken these out. Moving on to apartments. Apartments are an attractive option for investors because they offer a huge amount of upside regardless of your tenant's age and lifestyle. There are also millions of apartments around Australia in different places, by the ocean, by the mountains, in the cities and the country. And they come in all sizes too, from complex studios all the way up to sprawling penthouses. The big draw card is that they offer a cheaper entry point and the opportunity to live in a location with high land values. While maintenance, insurance, and upkeep costs are shared in apartments among all the owners in the form of a strata title, they are generally a lot easier to manage and feature less depreciation as the exterior is managed by the body corporate. Tenants aren't required to maintain the property, such as gardens and common areas, which is quite attractive for pretty much any kind of tenant. They also offer the ultimate lock up and leave lifestyle, meaning that for people who enjoy traveling or have multiple homes, an apartment offers a very easy way to live. Another major benefit is that apartments are generally close to the city, workplaces, parks, and restaurants. You might also see apartments advertised with a walkability score. This is a patented system that measures the walkability of any address by using hundreds of walking routes to nearby amenities. Points are awarded based on the distance to amenities in each category, so amenities within a 5-minute walk are awarded maximum points. Properties with a great walkability score are relatively easy to lease and can be a great selling feature. And lastly, there are good government initiatives for first home buyers who buy new or off the plan apartments. There's also an overwhelming amount of research and information online about the benefits of buying new versus an old apartment. Unfortunately, the most noticeable downfall is that owning less land translates to less capital growth returns. Generally, an apartment in an older 1970s apartment building will be a better investment than a shiny new compact apartment in a high-rise, simply due to owning more significant equivalent land component per property. The second potential downfall is having to deal with tenant issues. Apartment living inevitably comes with living in close proximity to neighbours. So, if there are noisy neighbours, you're going to have to deal with a problem that's pretty much out of your control. On the topic of space, apartments also have little to no outside space. During recent lockdowns, this made living conditions extremely tough for people in these situations. Having some form of open space, whether it be a courtyard, balcony, or patio, will become even more important, particularly with the work from home movement increasingly becoming the norm. Another potential drawback is that if your apartment is in an oversupplied area, you could suffer from lower rental yield, less capital growth, and less demand because there's a larger selection for other potential tenants to choose from. Yours will need to stand out, which is very hard if you're in a building of 200 units that all look the same and have the same floor plan and fittings. Lenders may also require the apartment to be at least 45 square meters, so it's worth checking with your bank on these requirements. It's generally best to stick with 2 and 3 bedroom apartments over 1 bedroom or studio apartments, because you'll have a larger pool of tenants to rent or sell the property to. And lastly, I'd advise you to proceed with caution when buying off the plan. You're buying at the peak of the market's value because you're buying a new product, which leaves you no extra room to make money if the asset location doesn't perform as you'd hope. So basically, to sum all that up, apartments are easy to manage and located in desirable locations, which makes them easier to rent. But there may be expensive body corporation fees, and you'll need to pick your area carefully to ensure that you don't have oversupply issues. I hope this is giving you some kind of idea of what route you would prefer to take. But remember, you can't put a price tag on getting valuable information from experts in the investor world who can give you tailored advice for your circumstances and goals. I mentioned earlier that I'm an avid investor myself, but I'm also a buyer's agent. So if you'd like to find out how I've helped thousands of investors secure properties that suit their portfolio, feel free to reach out or leave a comment below. My goal has always been to help other investors thrive. Otherwise, that's it from me. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm Steve Palise, author of Residential Property Investing Explained Simply. See you next time.